Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. This is Brother Alaa, your host for The Art of Parenting. Welcome back to another episode. And inshallah, today we're going to start an episode for Ramadan. And today, my daughter actually asked me a question. So I said, you know what, let me address it with everybody. And today we're going to talk about why do we fast? So it's a very good question indeed, especially you live out in the West. And as a parent, you want to also teach your children what should they react, how do they behave, and what should they answer to this question. You say that God Almighty is most merciful, He's most compassionate. Why would He want you to go through the pain of hunger and the pain of thirst? Amazing, isn't it? It's a good question indeed, valid. And most of the time that your peers will ask you, or your people, colleagues, or even your school will ask you why this. And most of the time that you don't want, I don't know, man, whatever. I was born a Muslim, my name is this, and I saw my parents tell me this, and I don't know, I don't have the answer. Well, hopefully today as parents, we can give them something that they can relate to. So if we can teach your children, like listen, if I tell you that there's a girl in Africa that has no food and water, that's all I just told you, how would you feel? It's a rhetorical question, obviously. I'm not looking for an answer, I just want to take you through the journey. And then I tell you, listen, you may be a little bit in love and you can't go to sleep, and then you go downstairs, watch some TV or open your laptop and look at infomercials at this late night, and they usually work on your emotions. They show you this girl in Africa, her face is white, but she's supposed to be black, and that's dusty. Her hair is teased up. She's young, but you didn't go to the latest hairdresser to get that beautiful teased up look. And her tummy is actually very big, but it's full of gas. And now she bends over, grabs something from the ground. It's soft enough to eat, doesn't even know what it is. Flies are over her eyes, hasn't taken a shower for a long time. How would you feel? You see, the first time I told you about it, you were only using your hearing sense. So one sense in your body was actually in the development of the decision making and what you feel and how you feel about it. The last time there was a visual, so not just the hearing sense, that the vision was also included. Not you're just you hear it, your eyes was also watching. So two senses in your body were making a decision of how you feel about it. So you were even moved. You may have even a little bit of a tremble or a tear coming down your cheek. But if you don't eat and drink yourself, all your body senses are actually involved in the decision making of how you feel. Nobody will ever tell you what it feels like to be thirsty, because you're already thirsty. You know what it feels like to be thirsty. And nobody will tell you what it feels like to be hungry, because you are starving. And at that time, when you eat something at the time of you're breaking your fast, everything tastes like ice cream. So imagine the food that you have in this life, but imagine what Allah has for you in the food of heaven. Imagine what you drink, and imagine the rivers that you will be drinking hereafter. So I'm going to take you on this journey, inshallah, and hopefully we'll tell you what it's all about. So this is one idea of understanding what it's all about. So now you don't take the food for granted. And wallahi, when we went to Syria and Turkey with my wife, we really, really understood what it means. People don't have anything to eat. The kids have just opened dirty, empty plates, I talked to you about it earlier when I came back from the trip. But this is practical examples that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to take you through it. So you're grateful to Allah, you share the food, you don't take it for granted, and that's what it's all about. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests you in the two biggest fitnas, al-batn wal-farj. Your stomach, hunger and your pain and the thirst, and farj, your private part. Because you're not even allowed to have intimate relations, it's halal, lawful, with your wife at that time. To teach you, don't take it for granted, it is a blessing. And without it, you're also controlling yourself, your whims and desires. Not just the body, you're a lot more than that. That's why you become spiritualized more in the month of Ramadan. And that's when we have. Now, a second lesson learned is if we leave what is halal, meaning the food and water and even intimate relations with your spouse, if you leave that is halal, the scholars will do it's halal under normal circumstances. But if you leave it in the month of Ramadan, so Allah is saying, you're leaving something is halal. So how could you be doing something that's haram? You understand? So it's a whole lesson. It's called the School of Ramadan. Long list. But we'll take it inshallah and understand. I want to make sure that I stay in the time allotted that was given to me. May Allah bless you all, inshallah. We'll respect that. But now, something else that we have to understand when it comes to the month of Ramadan. Now, when we eat and drink, yes, I want to start the sunnah, inshallah. When Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to drink from where Aisha used to drink from, in Sahih Muslim, by the way, Aisha radiallahu anha used to say that. He used to I drink, and Prophet would look at the same glass that I would look. When I put it down, he takes it, turns it around, places his lips where my lips were, and drinks from it. So I'm going to teach you now a few things, inshallah. So let's revive that sunnah. As parents, we want to teach our children how to become a loving couple. So when they grow up, they see your parents used to hug, they see their parents used to kiss, and they look after each other, reviving the sunnah. You know, tell her your wife, I love you. Because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to declare it, رُزِقْتُ حُبَّهَا. Yeah, so I know most of us, when especially, the one I'm born and raised here, I understand. But if we're born and raised somewhere else, whatever we call back home, still, we've been here for like thousands of years, but we still call it back home. I don't understand. Listen, I'm not talking to my high horse. I do the same. But now, you know, when we come from a different culture, it's very difficult for us to say, you know what I mean? So it's time to revive that sunnah in the month of Ramadan. Not only drink from where she drank, I want you to put the date in her mouth, and she can put the date in your mouth. So you can actually do that. Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu used to put the date in the Prophet ﷺ's mouth and says, I taste the sweetness. You know, I would place the date in his mouth, but I would feel the sweetness in mine. So this is the things that we can teach our children. Right before their eyes, they grow up in a beautiful environment, loving environment, given environment, understanding it. And you know also that Ramadan has 3 distinct goals. One is a spiritual aspect, one is a physical aspect, and one is a social aspect. The spiritual aspect is very easy because you come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you're reading the Quran more. You're doing more prayers. Shayateen is locked up. The gates of heaven are opened up. The gates of hellfire closed up. You know, you break your fast and you're broken inside. You're maksur amam Allah. You know what that means? You're humbled. You feel weak in front of Allah because you know you don't have much. A little bit of hunger, a little bit of thirst, you can't speak, you can't talk, you want to sleep, you can't work, you take time off. Just a little bit, man. Amazing, isn't it? So now you become, your heart is softened, you become more spiritual. You do qiyamul layl, you do taraweeh, you do tahajjud, you want to finish the Quran, you do the tafsir, you listen to halaqat. You become more spiritualized. And that's why the scholars will tell you that's why you're happy in the month of Ramadan. Have you ever caught yourself smiling in the month of Ramadan? Knowing that you're going through the pain of hunger and the thirst and long days and the hot sun and all of that stuff? Well, maybe not me in Canada. We may not have that heat just yet. We're hoping. Yeah, and one day, inshallah, will come around. But you know why you're smiling? Because you're created to worship Allah. And when you worship Allah, that means you're fulfilling the reason and the purpose of your creation. And that's why you feel happy. And that's why some of the people actually cry when Ramadan is over. Ya salam, beautiful. That's when you feel that you got what it means. That's the spiritual aspect. Now, the physical aspect, you're supposed to lose weight in the month of Ramadan. Now, I emphasize the fact, supposed to. Now, I understand that some of us gain weight in Ramadan. I have no idea how you gain weight in Ramadan, dude, but you know what? That's what it is. But you're supposed to lose weight in Ramadan. It's a beautiful, good for your antibodies, your system, your everything else. You're developing a beautiful metabolism. It's like your antibodies, you're coming back. You know, you revive your cells. It's been a long research, shows how beneficial fasting is for your body. Yes? Now, when a social aspect comes in, you know, when you invite people to share your food with you, and when you give a fitrah, you care about others, now that you know what it's like, and you share with not just the food, you share your life with others. Becomes a social, you know, you see each other more. You gather on goodness. And you leave each other also in goodness. So that's a social aspect. I haven't seen the brother for a long time. I've seen him all this, and all of it. Where is brother Muhammad? Where is sister Fatima? You know, they haven't seen him in Fajr prayer. I haven't seen him in Taraweeh. So let's go visit. It's a beautiful social aspect in the month of Ramadan. Now, I understand that time is flying, but it's a whole series. I'm trying to keep it under 10 minutes as I was told. And now it's time. But next time I see you, inshallah, we'll have more lessons learned from the month of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from you all. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to feed you from the food of Jannah and quench your thirst from Hawd al-Kawthar. Ameen wa akhir da'wan. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallam ala alihi wa sahbihi wa tabi'in. Jazakum Allah khayra. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.